Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me looking at some more MTG Magic and obviously the markets. Now, I know it's been a while, and as always, I'm going to just kind of put these out there whenever whoever wants to watch them can join in. It's more of a recap of exactly what's been happening for the last week and a bit, pretty much 2 weeks actually at this point, and also what possibly can happen. So, where do we want to start off? So let's start off with the lands. The dual lands, obviously. So first things first, you're going to notice that they really haven't done much for most of them. And in some cases, they've actually dropped a bit in value. Now, I don't know. I haven't actually kept up with Rudy's videos. Now, anyone else is on really magic-related stuff for the last couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, I think, mainly because there's other things that I need to keep an eye on. But if anyone says that the market's improving, probably add a bit of salt to whatever they're saying. As far as I can tell, the market is kind of blindsided by it's pretty much deer stuck in the headlights. The stock market is obviously acting a bit differently, but the magic community and the magic market are really holding out on paying the crazy prices that we were seeing in 2021 and some parts of 2022 as well. So let's have a look at some examples. So Badlands. Badlands on one hand has actually gone up by a decent amount. Like you can get a moderately played now for $335, though I'd probably say near mid for $399 is a better value. Tricky as always, but you know you're paying a bit more for what could be considered a piece that's still 20 something years old, and you know you pay a bit of premium for it and you can keep it safe in the card sweep. Bayou is flatlining very much on the low side. You can get a lightly played for $339. That actually doesn't sound too bad at all. You guys can let me know if you found some better prices or if you're starting to go hunting now. This might not be a bad time to go pick up, you know, as I've said before, one at a time. You don't want to go crazy and buy it all in one go, but this might be a good time to start looking for some deals and see what is out there because prices look like they're pretty cheap right now. They're almost back to 2021 early parts before the second spike up, and certainly so pretty much up to here is what I'm saying. Like before the 2021 massive spike, you know, up to 2022, I think we're in between these two. Not what was that 2020, but in between these two, and it's actually pretty impressive. So you know, there might be a chance for you to get to a certain price target. Plateau, once again, this is actually moving up still pretty aggressively. Not pretty aggressively for what it is. Moderately played for $299, near mid for $384. Bit of a big difference in that. I don't know if that's worth it. Savannah, $255 on TCG. Yeah, it took a bit of a dive. Still not too impressive. And lightly played for $259. That doesn't sound too bad. Obviously, it depends on what you're looking at. Remembering a lot of these were sitting around about the $300 to $400 mark. Tiger. Tiger, bit of a dip. This one looks very manipulated just because of the graph. And what's the best price? $329 for lightly played for a Tiger. Sure, better than $265 for damage. I wouldn't take a damage. TCG player for Tropical Island. Once again, Tropical Island very much on the down. Low $423.99 for Tropical Island. That seems like a good, should I say, pretty good deal. I had to go back and check the prices I got it for, but I'm starting to feel like these are starting to get close to the bottom of 2020. Sorry, the middle of 2020 to 2021. So you really want to keep an eye on these prices. Tundra, another one, still dropping pretty aggressively. I might actually go and watch a Rudy video after this to just see what he's been lying about, because there's a chance that he's probably been saying that the market's doing well or coming back and stuff. It really isn't. The stock market has been playing a very different game to what's happening in the magic market. For most of it, we can see in like the modern and other stuff that it's actually not doing too bad. But yeah, the stock market has been playing a very different game, and I'm not too sure how that's going to end either. So we're going to see a Tundra lightly played for $479. And Underground Sea, which is a big one, big drop off. What are you going to get for lightly played? $650? Yeah, I mean, they used to be like $800, $900. So yeah, lightly played for $650 sounds pretty good. Volcanic Island, the last one on this list, bit of a dump and then brought back up. Still looks like it's going down, and you can get a lightning plate for $760. Not bad again. So yeah, really want to look into this. The prices look like they're still pretty pressured from the fact that you can put this money in a bank and actually get some return on it. Like, we're in Australia right now. You go to ING, you can get 4.8% for your savings. That's insane. It's crazy, crazy stuff we haven't seen in a couple of years now. So moving over to Modern and Pioneer. So what are we seeing for Modern? We're seeing what is it? Skitterix, the Blight Dragon, now sitting at $40, a 50% increase. Mia Matrix, 24% increase, now sitting at $30. Mia Superion, 82% increase, now sitting at $11. It's not a bad card, but I don't think it's worth that. Elish Norn Grand Cenobite, 13% increase, now sitting at $38.99. That one is actually worth it. It's a pretty good card. Contagion Engine, 27% gain to now sit at $16. Mia Propagator, 138% gain to Nasdaq at $4.87. Viral Drake, 79% gain to Nasdaq at $5.70. Ground Rift, 90% gain to Nasdaq at $4.99. Inexorable Tide, 21% gain to Nasdaq at $12.14. That's a 4% gain, not anything to be fussed about. On the biggest drops, nothing too crazy, nothing above 10%, but Darksteel Forge is on there, now sitting at $59, so 7% drop. Probably won't go too much into that. Now, what do I want to look at for this? So the Secret Lairs one is now $35. The Phyrexian Praetor one is $36. The Judge promo is $144. New Phyrexia, which I don't know if I have the new Phyrexia one. Oh, that's a foil anyways. So yeah, I think they're all sitting pretty high up. It's gotten a big enough spike. I think mostly it's the fact that Infest? Poison? Whatever. It's just the way that the counters apply. Every little bit of pump makes a big difference, and it makes a big difference no matter which direction. Like, if you subtract away from the enemies, they're going to lose their creatures. They're going to lose all their tiny -1 poison counters, and then you can also massively gain on poison counter advantage. So that's probably one reason why cards like this are going up. I'm surprised others aren't to a similar setup, but I think Elish, she's just really good. So moving over to Pioneer, so we can see Darksteel Forge now is on Pioneer list for weekly gains. 4% gain to now set at $43.42. This is the M14 one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to only cover the 10% gains, and really there's nothing here that gained 10% in the Pioneer world. And for the biggest drop for 10% or higher is Crucible of Fire. It's now sitting at negative 14%, now at $1.58, which is, I guess, fine. I did find Impact Tremors. It would be an interesting one. A bit of a jump up in the last couple of weeks. Anything else crazy? Atraxa Grand Unifier Showcase. Okay, show. Now sitting at $46.98. 69% gain. That's crazy. Impact Tremors. Nyla Sun Colossus Hammer. Really? Still going up. 19%. Crazy. Okay. We'll move on to the markets now, because I think this is where the interesting part is. So currently the markets are fighting a lot of gravity, and I think the other markets, the collectible markets, cars and houses are all lagging behind. Cars have actually picked up again, which is interesting. Used car markets is still kind of a bit warm, or should I say kind of still hot. Houses, unsure, but at least in certain places in Australia, they seem to be flattening out and picking up again. Now, why is this the case? The reason is people are terrified of the Federal Reserve being complete chickens. That's literally the reason. So markets and everything are trying to fight the Fed because they think the Federal Reserve is just going to start playing possum, and they're not going to fight inflation properly. What do we think about that? I think that they may not fight inflation properly, but them fighting inflation is still painful to the markets. And I don't think the markets have really captured that yet. One thing is, a lot of people have jobs that probably never had the opportunity for getting the jobs that they currently are in. But don't forget, we also took a massive pay cut because of the amount of liquidity and credit that was injected into the world in the last 2 years. So whether or not you get a job, it depends on how much you get paid for that job, and whether you got a pay rise to keep up with everything. A lot of people didn't. and it's yeah tough for those people, and I guess actually for everyone because it's not like I got a massive pay rise either. So I think everyone is going to feel the pinch going forward because the Federal Reserve just isn't squishing inflation down fast enough to actually make people comfortable with the direction of inflation. And everything is focused on that right now, which is why the markets are acting so weird. So what do we have? We have gold took a massive drop and it actually looks like it's flattening out. There's a chance that it might drop down to 1770 and then flatten out again. But if that's the case, then I'm expecting the US dollar to move up quite a bit more to 106 for 1065, I guess, 106.5 on the DXY, which means that certain currencies like the Australian dollar will probably drop down to 68 and then maybe even a bit lower. GBP, Euro, all of those will drop down. US 10-year looks very strong now, formed a bottom. Whether or not it jumps up is really up to what happens with the reports that are coming out from the US. But the entire world is now focused on the US and seeing where inflation is going. If inflation spikes up or if the Federal Reserve comes out super hawkish, then that's going to tank equities and asset prices again. That will include magic cards to get hit even more than they are now. So, we're just going to have to wait and see. And hopefully people have some money put aside to put into the banks and make or allow it to work when the time comes. Because I feel like right now it's very, very hard to do one or the other completely because you never know what's going to happen. So you really want some money working and you want some money safe to buy into for other things. You really don't want to go all in on either one because, you don't know what the Federal Reserve and the central banks are going to do. They could come up with a CBDC, central bank digital currency system, give universal basic income by the end of this year, and that'll just cause asset prices and everything to just balloon out of, like crazy. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Outside of that, are we going to notice anything else weird? Berkshire Hathaway kind of topping out, but once again, forming a pretty good base. That's pretty expensive, and this one is pretty much controlling the markets right now. Whatever this really does is kind of how the market behaves, and right now it's doing really well. You can see that it peaked in November and just flatlined for most of it. Even though it looks like it should be dropping, actually, now that I think about it, this actually does look weak. Looks like something is going to cause it to break in the next couple of days or weeks. One thing that is going to come out is March 2022 is going to be when the Federal Reserve comes out to give their next interest rate hike. And there's a lot of people talking about the fact that they might stick with 25, but then say that they're going to stick with 25 for a much longer time period. Or they might just try to increase it by 50 in the meeting afterwards. And that'll really spook the markets. So we're really going to have to keep an eye on what's happening, how it's all going to play out, and what the impact it has for, I guess, the currencies around the world. USD Canadian. So this is just one as a reminder that it is looking. Is it looking weak? Yeah, it looks kind of weak. It looks USD Canadian looks pretty weak, and I'd probably say the USD Australian looks pretty weak as well, because both of those countries do well when there is no risk of a global slowdown, because they provide resources to the world that it then uses to make other stuff. And these countries are usually the first to be impacted, at least currency point of view, because they're the ones that are going to feel the slowdown. The AUD and USD actually looks like it's about to turn up, but I'm not too sure how it's going to break this downward channel first. It might be a fake out and something is going to come and cause it to fall over in the next couple of weeks. Hourly, no, we don't want to do hourly. So let's move to the VIX, the last one on the list, because the VIX really does make a difference when it comes to predicting volatility. Pretty volatile, very much a tough call. You're never going to be able to pick the bottom of the VIX. It looks like it was about to bottom out and then it just flipped around and dropped again. Where is it right now? On support. It is on support, which means that tomorrow, the day after, there could be some fireworks for the VIX. Bitcoin is a really interesting one because Bitcoin, I think, has some correlation with collectibles markets in general. and it actually looks really strong. So whether or not this, I think Bitcoin is obviously going to be leading, but we're really going to have to keep an eye on this, and we're going to also have to keep an eye on what Hasbro is doing as well, because Hasbro has been failing badly after last month. They just couldn't hold on to some of the gains that they made in that month, where it bounced off from the bottom, and I think they're going to have some trouble staying at this level. Weekly it looks okay, but not that strong. Daily, it looks really weak. It's below the 200-day moving average. It doesn't even try to get up there. And monthly, it's below the monthly. So, just could not, could not hold on to anything that it wants to. So this is now looking worse than 2020, March of 2020. This is worse than March of 2020. Because March of 2020, that was COVID. People were like, oh, people can't go out. No one's going to be buying any collectibles. Who's going to be buying cards? And then it bounced back. But now this is a trade. This is people looking at it, spending time looking at it. This is 5 months down after it already had a massive collapse. And they are just looking at it going, this is not a well-rounded stock at this point. They're putting all their time and effort into making the cards so people will buy them. And guess what? A lot of people just do not want to spend money on those cards right now. So we're going to have to see how that goes. Gold, silver, like I said before, I kind of feel bad that I didn't just sell out of silver. It's looking pretty weak right now. Is it going to bounce? It looks like it should. It really does look like it should monthly. But on the daily, looks pretty weak. On the weekly for silver, looks pretty weak. So yeah, I'm not too sure how that's going to work out. I think I was saying that we really should have seen something happen with silver, and I was getting annoyed because I was saying that the US dollar didn't look super strong. So why is silver so scared? But it turns out the US dollar was super strong, and it came back with a vengeance. So that's why silver was scared. It's hard to tell which ones are leading and which ones aren't, but for these kinds of things, once that move has happened, you should really probably be careful about that. So, anyways, guys, I'm probably going to call it there. Been babbling around. We'll keep an eye on what's going to happen soon, but really these weeks have been pretty slow. Not much has changed from a macro point of view. Large scale. Interest rates are going to continue going up. Prices of assets and stuff should be pressured. But if the Federal Reserve comes out as chicken, like they did, then all of a sudden there is some turnarounds for some of the easier to buy stuff like crypto and stocks. And we'll have to see how that all goes. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you guys next time.